Okay, so my name's Arman Hezarkhani. I'm one of the co-founders and managing partners at a firm called Tenex. We do AI transformation, but before I jump into all that, I want to ask two quick questions. One, who thinks that AI is a little bit of a buzzword, maybe in a bubble, we say it too much, and we should just get back to work and move on? Raise your hands. I see one hand, two hands, three hands, four hands. You can be honest. Who thinks it's a little blown up, a little blown out of proportion? Okay, I see a 50% here. Who thinks that it is transformational? It's something that we all have to adopt, and we better get on it sooner rather than later. Awesome. Okay, so my belief, and I've spent years building AI systems at Google. I was an adjunct professor of computer science at Carnegie Mellon. I've worked in this space for a very long time. I founded this business to help people adopt AI, but I'm here to tell you that you're both right. I do believe that we are in an environment where there's this new technology that I personally do believe is more powerful than anything that's ever come. I think it's going to be bigger than internet, bigger than mobile, bigger than all these different things. I actually believe that. But I also believe that there's a lot of people selling snake oil. And I think there's a lot of people trying to slap AI onto things that are not actually AI just to get 10% bumps in their stock performance. And what's really difficult is you all have real jobs and you should not need to be experts in AI. You just want to achieve the goals that you have at work. And so we started a business that helps people do that. We have a 5-step process that we follow, and it's very secret, very proprietary, but because we're all friends here, I'm going to walk you through it. And I'm going to share exactly how we think about it, what matters, and how we tell the difference between what's real and what's snake oil. In order to jump in, I like starting with examples. These are real clients, real projects that we've worked on, and some are still live, but we're confidential with our client list, so all the names are abstracted. So the first one is the billboard company. This is one of the biggest billboard companies in the US. They sell out-of-home ads. They have a traditional ad sales business where you can see ads on the side of a bus or in a billboard or on a bench or things like that. But they also have like a Uber for billboards type of business where you can digitally go on and buy ad space. They engaged us to help them change the way that they run their company with AI, but they didn't really know what that meant. They knew that there would be internal operations that would need to change. They knew there would need to be training and reskilling, and maybe there would need to be changes to their product. And so what we did was we worked with them. We started by understanding their goals. We learned about their operations. We learned about opportunities where we could help. And then we shared which ones we think AI would solve and which ones just traditional technology would solve. One of these things was moderation. Every billboard has to be moderated, and there's a lot of human time that went into that. And so as they scaled their inventory, they had to scale the number of human moderators. And within a week, we were able to achieve 96% accuracy with human billboard moderators. Another client is called the pharmacy. They are $1 billion in revenue, and but they have pretty sharp margins. So they were trying to increase their margins. Same idea. They were looking to see how they can improve margins. We went in, we found some areas for opportunity. One of them was this manual process of taking pharmacy orders and putting them into this other system. So like you have a doctor that in chicken scratch writes some prescription. They need to put that into a system so that it can be fulfilled. That process is done by this army of people, and we were able to do 40% cost reduction on prescription processing with just V1. We think we can do quite a bit more there as well. And this is highly accurate and efficient. The third one is an RIA. So this is a financial management company. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button. Oh, how do I go back? Oh, it's a laser. Look at that. We got a laser. So RIA firm. They manage wealth. They do a bunch of estate planning, things like that. They wanted their financial advisors to be able to spend more time with their clients, but a lot of financial management, a lot of financial professionalism or financial professional work in general is done outside of the client meeting. We basically came up with this process where every financial professional, whether you're a financial advisor, an accountant, anything, it's basically a 3-step process. You need to collect information, you have to process information, then you have to communicate the decisions that you made based on that analysis. We basically automated quite a bit of that work between meetings so that 88% of advisor minutes between meetings was saved so they can maximize the amount of time that their actual CFPs are spending with clients. There's quite an array of the clients that we work with, but the playbook is the same, and that's what I want to walk through here. In terms of what it actually takes to do this, though, it cannot just be AI engineers like myself saying rah AI and saying it over and over and over. And it can't be a CEO of a business coming in and saying, hey, C-suite, we need to do AI, and not knowing what that means. There has to be an execution plan afterwards. And for us, that means it includes custom builds, it includes training, it includes custom process building, but really the execution is incredibly important. And I'm going to walk through how we do that. The first step, though, is that it has to be aligned with the goals. The goals have to come first. You can't start an AI transformation with the word AI. You have to start an AI transformation with your goals. And so our 5-step process starts there. A lot of you probably in a well-running business have your goals defined clearly, right? From the C-suite all the way down, these are defined. But many of us know that that's not actually the case a lot of the times. A lot of times there are unwritten goals, or there are goals that are a little blurry. And so the first step is to define the goals, not just for this AI transformation, but the goals writ large for the team or organization or company that wants to go through this adoption. The second step is to identify a human being, an AI champion, the person who can be the first seed by which this whole movement can start. And this doesn't have to be from the top down. In fact, it's better if it's from the bottom up. And so the way that we find this person is we actually send surveys that I'll talk about. And in the survey, we ask about how they're adopting AI, how employees are adopting AI in their day-to-day life outside of work and in their day-to-day life inside of work. And with that, you can identify who's excited about AI and how that excitement becomes the energy to create this movement within the company. Next is choosing your starting point. So this is not just with the human, but also the process, the action, whatever process within the business can be the first quick win. After that, am I pressing the wrong button again? No. After that, we want to achieve a very quick win and socialize it. So this is where the actual work is done. This is where you've identified the person, you've identified the process, you can make the change, but you want to go for the lowest hanging fruit first. And oftentimes this can be done in like half an hour. You go, you find the process, you find the person, and you see with one prompt in ChatGPT with a new model, you can achieve a huge time savings. And it truly is sometimes that easy, this step. And of course, it can get more and more time consuming and more expensive over time, but many times it is that simple. And then you repeat. Steps 2 to 3, or steps 2 to 4, build momentum and they get buy-in for something bigger. And then you do it again and it gets buy-in for something bigger. And you do it again, it gets buy-in for something bigger. And you don't need to be the CEO of the company to make this change, but of course, if that's the case, it makes it much easier. The survey that I talked about is here. It's one of the 3 things that we do as a part of the Tenex study that, again, you could do yourselves within your business. So we do 2 surveys out of the box, but sometimes we customize them. One of them is what we call the org-wide or rank and file survey. And that's really to identify, like, what do you do on a daily basis? What are the processes that you're doing? Again, don't even mention the word AI. Just what do you do day to day? What are all the files that you touch? What are all the processes that you touch? You want to understand how is each employee plugging into the systems in the business so you can understand that web. And then for the executive objective survey, that is basically to understand the objectives from the top down. What do people actually care about and what's realistic that we can get done? After that, we understand who we want to interview. And this is really like, of course, you want to interview some executives and managers if you're going org-wide, but a lot of it is the rank and file. Like, hey, let's get on a Zoom call and walk me through this exact process. Walk me through how you move the data from this system to that system. And you actually want to see how that happens so that in phase 3, when you're putting it all together, when you're doing that research and you're coming up with what that step 4 is going to be, step 3, what that starting point is going to be, you can do it in phase 3 when you're doing that research. So this is something that you can rinse and repeat. We do this every day with all of our clients, and we'll talk more about it in the panel, but that's our process. I'm Arman Hezarkhani from Tenex. Feel free to chat if you have any questions.